Good evening, ladies and gents. My name is Rob, and 9 years ago, when I was a grubby, malnourished student, I went to Uganda with the university's Officer Training Corps to, among other things, build a well with a small charity called the Busoga Trust. Since then, I've been lucky enough to spend 2 years working for them in Uganda, and now run the UK side of the operation in my role as development manager. So what is the Busoga Trust? It is a water, sanitation and hygiene charity which has been providing safe water to communities in Uganda for 3 decades. The trust gets its name from a region, an ancient kingdom in Uganda. In the late 1970s, the bishop of the area, an incredibly brave man, determined to try and provide basic human rights for the people in a region which had been ravaged by subsequent dictators. He looked for partners to help, and so the trust was formed. We have developed from those small steps to now operate out of 5 offices nationwide. We are not a high-profile organisation. We have no marketing budget. You will not have heard of us. Rather, we pride ourselves on being a service provider. We do the work on the ground. We carry out this work for a range of partners. Just as we will hopefully carry out work for the City Funding Network. I get confused with this. City Funding Network as a result tonight. So why does the trust exist? Simple, really. I know sometimes charities can seem guilty of hyperbole, but I took this photo myself, and this is definitely the water which they drank. Hairy Scotsmen such as I do not tend to gush, but believe me, we are all extremely fortunate in the lives in which we live. Further, and far worse than the lack of water, is lack of sanitation. Why? Because even clean water will be polluted if there's no sanitation in place. London is no stranger to lack of sanitation. In the 1850s, Parliament closed for business because of the stench from the raw sewage flowing past in the Thames, and it was unbearable for the MPs sitting there. Thousands died of mass cholera epidemics at this time. And people are still dying from water-related disease. Diarrhea is the second largest cause of child mortality globally, killing more children every year than AIDS, TB and malaria combined. But the real problem is not that of death, but disability. A child who is sick cannot attend school. An adult who is sick will not be able to work to their full capacity. In Mayuge district, the orange blob there, where any funding raised tonight will be directed, the situation is even worse than the global picture I have presented. Here, less than half the population have access to safe water. That's about 175,000 people who don't have access to safe water. Just over half have a basic toilet. So what do we do about that? Actually, we do the same as the Victorian Londoners did. We ensure safe water supply, construct sewage disposal systems, pet latrines, and teach people to wash their hands and provide hand washing facilities. In Uganda, this usually means a simple, straight, shallow hand-dug well, as you see on the left there, and a pit latrine. Simple, straightforward technology to secure the water below ground before it can be contaminated above ground. The community contributes some materials to the well, and they dig it, they provide the labour. We provide the rest. At the end of the process, the community assume both the ownership and the responsibility to maintain that source. However, before a spade hits the soil, we spend time training the community in the importance of sanitation and hygiene. You know, hand washing is the most important public health intervention there is. We also train and elect a committee of villagers who will be responsible for the administration of that source and keeping the maintenance fund going. And then we also train a team of local mechanics who they can call upon to fix the well or do any maintenance or spare parts that are needed. The effect? Well, using a bit of jargon for the city, triple bottom line. Less kids die, more kids go to school, less firewood is harvested to boil water, And the UNDP, which is the United Nations Development Programme, the big development programme for the UN, estimates that for every $1 invested in water sanitation and health, $8 is returned in increased productivity. However, we would never expect you to take our word completely in trust. How do you know the money isn't being used to fund a brand new fleet of air-conditioned Range Rovers to replace the Mazda that has to be parked on a hill, when you need to start again, you have to let it roll down the hill to jump-start it, and the Defender that drips on your right knee when it rains? How? Because we will show you. Any Wells Fund tonight will have its own webpage with a Google map, detailed narrative which is updated weekly, detailed before and after statistics, photo albums and YouTube videos. Each well is fitted with a donor plaque, which you can see up on the right there. And we would strongly encourage you to visit Uganda for a holiday, go whitewater rafting, chat to some silverback gorillas, and allow us to take you to that well. And meet the people whose lives you will, in a tangible, galvanised steel way, have changed tonight. And then come back in 30 years' time to see it still pumping water as our first well constructed is. I want to point out that that well is about the same age as me, although honestly I'm not as old as I look. And thank you very much.